Team 39 for Computer Science 90024 Cluster and Cloud Computing. I'll be walking you through our front end and our scenario for this project. Well, Australia and the rest of the globe place a great importance on volunteering and charitable activity, which demonstrates the strength of compassion and group efforts. Australia, a nation renowned for its strong feeling of community, has made volunteering a significant part of its culture. Numerous people generously give their time and talents to assist a variety of causes, from environmental protection to social welfare, having a big impact on their neighborhood. Additionally, charity activity has been even greater significance in a worldwide setting. It addresses concerns like poverty, food, and healthcare, acting as a lifeline for the most vulnerable populations. The scenario chosen for this assignment had the goal of analyzing the Twitter activity of the Australian region in relation to volunteering and charitable work. The scenario was specifically designed to examine whether, according to census information on pseudo in a given region, the volume of online social media activity on Twitter in that region correlates with the quantity of charitable requests made at aid centers. The goal of this study was to determine whether individuals actually put in the effort and follow through when it comes to preserving the environment and leading more sustainably by comparing the volume of Twitter activity with the number of requests. Well, as you can see on our homepage, we have done visualization based on Mastodon data, based on the three pseudo data sets that we picked up, and on Twitter data. And in the end, we combine all of them in order to see the trend for all of them. So, let me walk you through our pseudo data. We've chosen three pseudo data sets. The first one being the home and community care program. Here we have fields such as total domestic assistant instances, care coordination instances, and so on. These basically tell you how many times in a state these instances tell you how many times these uh, services were requested, these charitable services were requested. Similarly, for LGA IO9, which is the unpaid assistance to a person with disability by age by sex for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander persons, this data was more so taken to fill up our edge cases, to look at some outliers, since we wanted to also see whether unpaid assistance was provided to people, provided to females who could be Aboriginals or Torres Islanders, Strait Islander people. So that just pads our data from the first data set, and then we look at our main data set, which is SA2 based B19 voluntary work for an organization or group by age by sex. So this tells us whether the assistance that was provided in terms of charity or volunteering was done by a volunteer or was done by somebody who's not a volunteer. Now, we found out that organizations and even universities, charitable funds have obligations since they are tied up to certain charities. So therefore, a lot of the work is mandatory and therefore it does not classify as voluntary work. So we were able to find a difference between actually what is the total percentage of volunteer slash charity work versus work that is done for volunteering slash charity in the community, but it's actually mandatory for the people who are doing it. So it's not out of the goodness of their heart or for because of their dedication to uplifting the community or the society. So that brings us to the Mastodon compare data. Simple analysis, we were able to check how many toots were related to charity and volunteering based on our Python pre-processing and NLP. And then we can see that this is about 0.3% of the total amount of toots. Similarly, if you look at the Twitter data, we are able to see that for the three main states with the highest population, Queensland, Victoria, and New South Wales, we have similarly about 2,300 tweets that are related, and about 662,000 that are not, which also leads to a 0.3 percentage. So we're able to see the same trend across both Mastodon and Twitter. We were not surprised to see such a low percentage of 0.3% of the total tweets, even after cleaning the data, because these social media platforms, 99% of what is spoken about here is pop culture, sports, shows, influencers talk a lot. So, especially, these important things like community care and charity are not spoken about as much. But what we are trying to find is a trend between the largest states, and now we take, this takes us to the pseudo data. And our intuition was correct that the since New South Wales, Victoria, and Queensland talk the most about charity and volunteering, based on the home and community care assistances, based on the unpaid assistance for each state, or whether it is based on the pseudo volunteer work. We can see that the highest amount of volunteer work is done in the states of New South Wales, in the state of Victoria and Queensland. um, and that just goes to show that our conclusion goes to show that according to Pseudo, the states with the highest level of charitable volunteer work and aid are, as I said, New South Wales, Victoria, and Queensland. With the use of the available data, we sought to determine whether this tendency persisted. We did some research to confirm the majority of Australians who tweet about philanthropic causes do so from these three states. And we found a similar link between the trend of charity tweets between Twitter data and Mastodon toot data. We found that the number of charity tweets, when divided by the total number of tweets or toots, results in a strikingly similar percentage, as I said, 0.3. And that brings us to us being able to plot all of that data on the same graph in order to see the trend. And this is a heavy query, so it takes a little bit of time. And as you can see, that we see the total instances for assistance and the total volunteer work climb at about the same rate, and they actually have an intersection point right here and right here as well. Whereas when you look at this in a stacked bar chart, you're able to tell that the ratio of total instance of assistances to the ratio of Twitter to the ratio of total volunteer work sort of remains consistent. Close to the same percent. So this ends our part 2. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you had a great time.